Welcome back to Good Morning Quad Cities at 11. There's a breaking development in the Baltimore bridge collapse. We want to take you right over to our partners at ABC News for a special report.
But right now, the priority, that search and rescue operation, and it continues apace.
Selena, we expect to hear from the president at any moment. What are you hearing so far from the White House about this?
Well, look, this White House's priority is to make sure that all of the local officials, that they get all the federal resources that they need. We've already heard from the Maryland governor that he is working with the Biden administration to quickly deploy those federal resources. We also know that Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, he will travel to the location today. And what we're hearing from this White House, from across the board from this government, is that there's no indication of any malicious intent behind this. There's no evidence that this was an act of terror. The White House also saying that their hearts go out to all of the families of those who remain missing after this horrific incident. The president expected to address that any moment now.
And ABC's Elizabeth Chelsea is also there in Baltimore. Elizabeth, at last check, 6 people were still unaccounted for. 2 had already been rescued, but it sounds like this could have been far worse, with authorities saying that they at least did get a heads up from this ship, so they were able to block traffic to the bridge. How crucial was that?
Well, and Diane, the governor did acknowledge that, saying that that helped save lives, that they got that heads up. The people who were on the bridge were those expected construction workers, and that ultimately they're continuing this search and rescue effort to try to find them, but it could have been worse. And as you know, you can see from our live shot here, Diane, we are just south of where the bridge is, and it is still completely blockaded where the collapse happened. We have seen U.S. Coast Guard all throughout the morning. We know that they're diving underwater, looking for those 6 people who've been unaccounted for. There was a large part of the morning, Diane, where it was completely dark here when this search was trying to happen. So they have been now at it for a couple of hours now that they're trying to really try to find those people. But at this point, at least 6 people still unaccounted for. That number, the governor says, could have been higher, Diane.
And Terry, 1:30 in the morning, obviously not a huge time for traffic, which is why they were doing work on the bridge at the time. But even so, the size of this bridge, this is a major thoroughfare. Can you talk about the impact here?
The impact is tremendous on the city of Baltimore and on the region and, in fact, the entire U.S. economy. Baltimore is the 9th largest port in the United States. It is a major port of entry for automobiles and automobile parts from Europe. And all of that traffic is now frozen. There are 40 vessels, we are told, with Baltimore as their destination heading this way. Many have been backed up already into the Atlantic. Meanwhile, the ships that are in port, they can't get out. And so this is a major part of this region's economy and indeed the nation's economy that is frozen right now. And beyond that, as Governor Wes Moore of Maryland spoke about this is a psychological blow for the people of Baltimore. This bridge has been here for 47 years. The city has grown up around it. Neighborhoods depend on it. Major businesses depend on it. There's a major Amazon facility near here, a FedEx facility near here, all depending on its access to the port and on getting from one point to another. All of that is gone. That will snarl traffic for months here along already busy highways such as I-95 up and down the East Coast corridor. So this is a significant impact economically in terms of the daily life of people and also just in terms of the psychology. Governor Moore said when anybody in Maryland, anybody in Baltimore says the bridge is down, they felt it.
And here's President Biden. Let's listen.
Before I leave for North Carolina, which I'm going to do in a few minutes, I want to speak briefly about the terrible incident and accident that happened in Baltimore this morning. At about 1:30, a container ship struck the Francis Scott Key Bridge, which I've been over many, many times commuting from the state of Delaware in our train or by car. Been in Baltimore Harbor many times. And the bridge collapsed, sending several people in vehicles into the water, into the river. And multiple U.S. Coast Guard units, which are stationed very nearby, thank God, were immediately deployed along with local emergency personnel. And the Coast Guard is leading the response at the port, where representatives from the Federal Highway Administration, the FBI, the Department of Transportation, the Army Corps of Engineers, as well as Maryland officials and Baltimore Police and Fire, are all working together to coordinate an emergency response. Officials at the scene estimate 8 people were unaccounted for still. Not still, were unaccounted for. That number might change. 2 have been rescued, 1 without injury, 1 in critical condition. And the search and rescue operation is continuing for all those remaining as we speak. I spoke with Governor Moore this morning, as well as the Mayor of Baltimore, the county executive, both United States senators and the congressman. And my Secretary of Transportation is on the scene. I told them we're going to send all the federal resources they need as we respond to this emergency. I mean all the federal resources. And we're going to rebuild that port together. Everything so far indicates that this was a terrible accident. At this time, we have no other indication, no other reason to believe there's any intentional act here. Personnel on board the ship were able to alert the Maryland Department of Transportation that they had lost control of their vessel, as you all know and reported. As a result, local authorities were able to close the bridge to traffic before the bridge was struck, which undoubtedly saved lives. Our prayers are with everyone involved in this terrible accident and all the families, especially those waiting for the news of their loved one right now. I know every minute in that circumstance feels like a lifetime. You just don't know. It's just terrible. We're incredibly grateful for the brave rescuers who immediately rushed to the scene, and to the people of Baltimore who want to say, we're with you. We're going to stay with you as long as it takes. And like the governor said, you're Maryland tough, you're Baltimore strong, and we're going to get through this together. And I promise we're not leaving. Here's what's happening now. The search and rescue operation is our top priority. Ship traffic in the Port of Baltimore has been suspended until further notice, and we'll need to clear that channel before the ship traffic can resume. The Army Corps of Engineers is on the spot and is going to help lead this effort to clear the channel. The Port of Baltimore is one of the nation's largest shipping hubs, and I've been there a number of times as a senator and as a vice president. It handles a record amount of cargo last year. It's also the top port in America for both imports and exports of automobiles and light trucks. Around 850,000 vehicles go through that port every single year, and we're going to get it up and running again as soon as possible. 15,000 jobs depend on that port, and we're going to do everything we can to protect those jobs and help those workers. The bridge is also critical for travel, not just for Baltimore, but for the Northeast Corridor. Over 30,000 vehicles cross the Francis Scott Key Bridge on a daily basis. It's virtually, it's one of the most important elements for the economy in the Northeast and the quality of life. My transportation secretary is there now. As I told Governor Moore, I've directed my team to move heaven and earth to reopen the port and rebuild the bridge as soon as humanly possible. And we're going to work hand in hand with the support of Maryland to support Maryland whatever they ask for. We're going to work with our partners in Congress to make sure the state gets the support it needs. It's my intention that the federal government will pay for the entire cost of reconstructing that bridge, and I expect the Congress to support my effort. This is going to take some time. The people of Baltimore can count on us, though, to stick with them at every step of the way until the port is reopened and the bridge is rebuilt. You know, we're not leaving until this job gets done. Not leaving until then. So I just want to say God bless everybody who everyone harmed this morning and their families. And may God bless the first responders, many of whom risking their lives. And the reason I'm not going to take a lot of questions, there's remaining issues that are open that we got to determine what's going to happen in terms of the rescue mission and the like. But
Do you plan to go to Baltimore, sir? And if so, how quickly?
I do, and as quickly as I can.
You said the federal government's also going to pay for the repairs. I'm just curious. This was a ship that appears to be at fault. Is there any reason to believe that the company behind the ship should be held responsible? And then also, you mentioned
that could be, but we're not going to wait for that to happen. We're going to pay for it to get the bridge rebuilt and opened.
What did you make of Israel's decision not to attend this meeting this week?
Oh, I don't want to get into that. We've got plenty of time to talk about Rafah.
you mentioned the port. Can I ask about cars? About the port.
And thank you. You've been listening to the president speak about the bridge collapse in Baltimore. We're going to take a short break and be right back.